Hey besties and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about things I don't want to see in K-pop this year. Now, let's get started with the video. Listen, I know I may sound like a broken record with the way I've been talking about this a few times, but this is probably the most annoying things that's happened in the K-pop music industry recently. The worst thing about this is that some of these songs that are actually amazing and some of the most beautiful songs I've heard are the ones that are short, and I don't mean like a little less than 3 minutes, but literally only 1 minute. Like, girl, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? I'm not even hungry. I'm starving. I don't even understand why companies and producers are making some of these songs short for TikTok when there's literally a 10-minute option for videos. I feel like having short songs just does nothing because these songs usually end up feeling empty, like something is missing, or like it's been too rushed. It's not that short songs in general are bad, but it's just the way it's been done recently and the fact that there's been so many recently for such a dumb reason. These companies are gonna have to realize these groups are not Pink Panthers and that she's one of the few that can actually successfully make real short songs. I know there's some long songs that aren't good either, but I noticed that a lot of longer songs in K-pop are just superior because they always feel so full, and I just need this whole 2-minute or less song trend to stop unless it's an interlude. I actually like it when K-pop groups do a pre-release, especially when it captures your attention, but some of these groups and artists are doing a bit too much for me. If it's a full album with more than 10 songs, then I can understand release 2 pre-releases, but having 2 or 3 when it's only a mini album just kinda takes out the fun of anticipating listening to the whole comeback. I think a good example of this is when Blackpink released their so-called first album, and the only reason why I say this is because I can't even call it an album when we heard 3 of their songs and there were only 5 songs that were new. I like to be surprised when hearing an album and not already knowing half of the album before it even comes out. Same with IVE. I understood if they made a couple pre-releases with their full album they had earlier last year, but with Body, there were only 6 songs on there with 3 pre-releases. Now, I do love it whenever groups or artists release a music video for multiple songs on their album, but only when it officially comes out. This is honestly just a personal preference of mine, because I like to look forward to comebacks instead of already knowing 90% of the songs already. But yeah, I think just having 1 pre-release is enough. Honestly, I don't actually hate the whole concept of English releases. I just can't stand how it's always that the lyrics are cringe or it sounds nothing like the group. I feel like if you're gonna introduce a group to the American market and show them what your group is about, then they should make a song that is true to that group and not something that they'd probably never release and sounds nothing like them. There's actually some good examples of groups still showing their colors and overall sound, such Twice with the feels because it had a concept that makes sense and the sound as well, along with Mr. Them's Perfect Night. There are a lot of bad examples from groups that just don't make sense to me, and I'm tired of these companies giving their groups the most generic song that doesn't even sound like that group. I don't mind English releases, but if there's gonna be any more of those, I need them to actually be good, have lyrics that make sense and doesn't sound like a child wrote it, and actually suits the group's sound and concept. There's been slightly better English releases recently, but I honestly can't take any more bad English songs, and I just need ones that are fitting for certain groups. What I mean by this is that those survival or Mnet shows where the decision of which trainee can stay and get eliminated mostly depends on public opinion and mainly from fans. I just feel like if you're gonna make a show where a bunch of trainees from different companies are coming on that show to fulfill their dream of becoming an idol, that takes a lot of skill and talent. Don't you think that actual experienced judges should determine their fate rather than some fans that just choose trainees they like? Yeah, it is pretty important for the member of the final lineup to be likable, but it's even more important for them to be actually talented and have the skill to be an idol. I'm not saying that the people on these shows that were voted by fans don't deserve it, because there's a lot of them that definitely deserved it, but I've seen instances where trainees have been voted by fans just because they like them even though the performance is bad. Not all, but a lot of these fans don't take their skills and how their performance was into consideration, and I honestly feel like it's setting some of these trainees out when some of them could be unprepared. I just think that when it comes to these shows, they should leave the judges up to the main voting. Obviously I want the stages to be cohesive and in sync, but I just want these groups and artists change up their performance a little bit every once in a while and not just for award shows or festivals. I absolutely love it when a group will do something a bit different each stage, whether it's saying something differently, doing a different pose, or just something entertaining. I think one of the best recent examples is 17 BSS fighting, because each stage was so entertaining and didn't feel boring or monotonous. Of course I understand that they have to be professional and I want them to, but there's nothing wrong with doing something special for each performance, so there's something more I look forward to besides the pretty outfits. Unless the outfits are something like orange caramel, I need something special, and making the same facial expression each stage is getting a bit tiring for me. I just need something a bit more in these performances. I know that there's still lots of songs that have bridges in them, but I've also noticed that there's a lot of K-pop songs that haven't been having bridges lately. I honestly think that this goes hand in hand with the short song problem, because since a lot of these songs are becoming shorter, there's usually no bridge. I really don't understand this, because next to pre-choruses, bridges are what most people love about K-pop songs, and I don't see anything good coming out of taking that part out. It doesn't matter what type of song it is, there's also a good reason to put a bridge in songs, and sometimes, it can even making a boring or bad song good. I just hope this doesn't become a long-lasting trend and real bridges that were almost near a minute long comes back again. I never thought this would actually be a thing where there'd be a whole ass computer generated K-pop group. Like, I thought that was just gonna stop with aespa's alter characters that showed up every now and then. I don't think that it's the worst thing, but it's just very inconvenient and a bit weird to me. I'm just imagining how it'd be if one of these AI groups became really popular and started having tours. Who exactly is gonna be on that stage? Because I wouldn't pay hundreds of dollars to not even see any physical person on stage performing. Same thing with those music stages when groups like Mave are performing. What exactly is the audience looking at? I just can't see this whole AI group thing lasting or even going well, since I think that no matter how much people may criticize idols for simply being human, at the end of the day, they like seeing actual humans on stage that aren't made up of pixels. I think a cartoon K-pop group would be adorable that was for a show or something, but AI groups is just unnecessary. I'm actually so tired of some of these groups and artists releasing only a single album, and I could understand the single being a pre-release to mini or full album, but just having a single for comeback or even constant comebacks is crazy. Like, I've been seeing groups and soloists recently having a bunch of releases and deps when they have a lot of good B-sides, especially when it comes to Sunmi. Like, that girl only has one album in her entire career and one mini album. Like, that's actually ridiculous. I feel like full albums are almost becoming rare now, and mini albums are fine, but singles, especially when it's not even that great of a song, doesn't do anything for me. Unless it's for an album. I don't want to see a bunch of singles for an entire comeback. This honestly should have stopped a long time ago, but I really need it to stop now, because a lot of y'all are getting out of hand when it comes to these fan calls, especially when it comes to specific groups like 17. Like, what makes you feel like pressuring them to call you mommy or bark for you is okay? I don't care how much money a fan has spent on a fan call, that idol shouldn't have to do anything that makes them uncomfortable, especially when it's sexual and dehumanizing. These fans need to understand that these idols are human first and not just your property that you can make demands for, then start calling them a jerk that doesn't love their fans just because they won't do your ridiculous requests for you. I hope that there's gonna be more strict rules when it comes to these fan calls, such as no asking them to bark and being demanding when they don't want to do something, because there's just too many weirdos out there that are ruining the whole purpose of fan calls. And that's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you'd want, and have a good day. Bye besties.